So, Jeff, during any of your self defense training courses or programs with some of the women, have you ever had a client that got really emotionally unregulated and kind of come out of their window of tolerance because maybe they were reliving an event, they had a
Mhm,
flashback? Has that ever
mhm.
happened?
Yeah, it happened one time. Just when I'm actually one time actually it was during a self defense class, and usually what I do in the beginning of each session, I we all around and I ask people if you have any story to share and you want to go ahead, or just try to, it's good to share stories because people can relate on that and create connections too. Um, So yeah, but the way it happened is that I just told some stories that I had as a man, and I don't know why, but she told me after that that she had a it reminds her a bad situation, a stressful situation, and she started to breathe intensity
Mhm.
intensively, and she decided to go away, and I was like, yeah, it's all right, you can go away, go breathe, go drink water, and I'm with you in a second. So after that, I talked to her, and she said, yeah, it just reminds me a stressful situation, and I was like drawn into that, and was I didn't know how to react, so I had to go away. So yeah, we don't judge. Of course, we don't judge when you come to our classes. So it's normal to have this kind of reaction sometimes. Some people are more sensitive than other, and we just take the time to share and tell them it's all right. You are in a safe environment with safe people. We just share. I'm sorry if it just triggered you. Uh, I don't know. After, it depends on what people leave, but it's okay. It's okay. It's reaction. It
Mhm.
has to get out. It's good. It's part of the
Mhm.
process. And when you commit this event, this kind of classes, you're here to, yes, learn new skills and situational awareness, but also maybe you're here to heal by sharing
Mm.
your story, and
Yeah.
by finding people that had the same kind of event or trauma,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
you're here for that, so it's all right. And yeah, it's hard sometimes to manage, but it went well with
Mhm.
this one. It just,
Mhm.
taking time, listening is important, and after giving some telling it's all right, everything is right now, it's you safe.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's the thing with reliving an event. Like at that point in time, it's now a perceived threat, but our minds, our nervous system doesn't actually know the
Yeah.
difference and
Hmm.
will go into a full blown reaction. So sounds like they're in really good hands. So you absolutely know what you're doing when you because one thing I heard was that it needs to be emotionally processed. Like that's part of the processing,
Yep.
and you couldn't be more right about that because now as studying therapists, we do what we call like a TRS, which is a therapeutic release session. And
Okay.
that's what we're doing is we're like reliving the event so that those emotions can properly
And you try to control them
process
after that.
and yes, exactly. And now we're in a safe, supportive environment to allow that to happen. And it's the same with men,
Oh yeah.
because anger is seen as a very inappropriate emotion.
Hmm.
So a lot of men suppress their anger, and
Hmm.
that's why I do believe that training, like the boot camp or self defense or fitness training, is a really good way for men to get those stored emotions out of their body.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And also, what I wanted to add to that is, as you
Mhm.
mentioned, the brain doesn't make the difference, and
Mm.
also the brain sometimes this, and you can hear that in most of the when a woman gets raped, the
Mhm.
the brain shut down. So that's why
Yes.
most of the people don't remember it, and they don't want
Yeah.
to talk about it because they don't remember, because the brain just shut down. It was too intense, and
Yes.
it was like, no, it protect himself. So that's
Yes.
why most
Yeah.
people don't want to talk after that, because they don't know, and if they
Mhm.
know, they're afraid to be judged, and
Mhm.
you won't be judged. All right. The best thing you can do is talk to someone, okay, a
Yeah,
professional, a third
absolutely.
person, or anyone. And going
Mhm.
into, as you mentioned, you try to revive it, to remember this event, to bring
Mhm.
it back, and then you know what's going on, and then you try to tell the brain, okay, this is reality, this is not. This is
Mhm.
what happened. It doesn't mean that this is for life or it would happen again or you can't do anything.
Mhm.
No. So what you do, I think, is like you bring that back to life and you like, okay, this is what happened, and you put it back in the right box.
Mhm.
Okay, so safe, unsafe, you can work on it and you can't, and you just try to put order into that to feel better
Yeah.
and live better with it. So it's
Yeah.
important. You have places to do that, and you have to work with professionals and sometimes just friends. It's all right.
Yeah.
Good friends,
Yeah.
by the way, good friends. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, that's excellent. And that's what, as a like a studying to be therapist, like I'm going in for my clinical counseling. I'm a wellness counselor at this point, but we had to try on all of those modalities. And so I myself had to go through a TRS to just experience what it was to be like the client end of things. And
Mhm.
God, like I always make a joke about it, but mine was nothing short of an exorcism. And I was actually quite surprised of how much emotion
That's
came out
crazy.
of me.
That's
And I
crazy.
know it sounds a little cliche that you need to see it to feel it to heal it, but it's so true. We really do need to like see it to feel
Yeah,
it to
you
heal
have
it.
to face it. At some point, you have to
Yeah.
face it. It takes courage. It's not easy. It doesn't mean you're gonna
Mhm.
happen tomorrow, but you have to go forward. If you want to heal, this is the only solution. Because keeping that,
Yeah.
it
Mhm.
won't just have an impact on yourself, but if you have a family at some point, or if you have kids,
Mhm.
it gonna be you're gonna show it through behavior or through
Yeah.
words or through acts, and you don't think about it because you're not aware of it, but it has an impact on other
Mhm.
people too, and on your
Yeah.
professional aspects or social aspects. So yeah, work on it. There is no shame, not at all. And you know what? If
Yeah.
you do that, you are the most respectful person that can be. So do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting because my instructor at the time, who I absolutely love, she takes clients to smash rooms so that they can relive it.
There is that
I
too.
know, and I
Yeah.
was like, "Yeah," and, I was like, "Oh my god, a smash room?" And, however, I've also consulted with somebody, in the military as well that does TRSs,
Okay.
and, because he works with a military population, he said that that's a very, fine line because now you have a trained killer that is like,
Mhm.
"I hate my father. I'm gonna kill," you know what I mean? So he's
You're
like, it's a
released.
pretty,
It's a
yeah.
release.
Yeah, but he says he has to be quite careful with that because if the person gets really blown out of the window of tolerance and they hate their father and now they're a trained killer that is now like, I'm gonna go kill my father. And
Yeah,
it's
there is
like,
that aspect. Yeah. Yeah.
so there's that
It's a
aspect,
balance.
but however,
It's a balance
yeah,
to keep. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, because I mean, taking somebody to a smash room, like even my instructor, she had TRS with herself too, and she said she got to beat the shit out of a piñata. I'm like,
Yeah.
beautiful, perfect,
Yeah, find your
right?
way. It can
Yeah.
be it can be sports, it can be
Mhm.
an art, it can be a passion that you can
Yeah,
just release that in a way. But the best is really
yeah,
intense or extreme sports,
hmm,
and boot camps are made for everyone. So you can give your best, you can go, or you can just come and just discover too. We adapt to groups
yeah,
and people. So yeah, that's the best way
yeah.
to do that.
Yeah, for sure. So my next topic, which is like, oh, this one really lights me up, is outdoor survival.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I spend a considerable amount of time in the backcountry,
Okay.
whether I'm, off grid in my RV or I'm tenting or backpacking. I've been on several trips like through the Rocky Mountains on horseback, like a guide,
Wow.
a horseback trip, 10 days. And our guide again, exceptional skills,
That's
Blaze
great.
West Trails. Yeah, it was amazing. So when I saw that you did outdoor survival, I was like, yes, that needs to hit modern, like everybody's society. Everybody should learn that.
It's the
Everybody.
basics. Yeah. So
Hmm.
what I do with survival is the basics. I'm pretty sure you
Hmm.
maybe have more experience that I do from what you just told me. But
Hmm.
what I do is just basic survival.
Hmm.
How to make a fire,
Yep.
whatever is
Hmm.
the environment. How to control it too. It's not just start it, but
Hmm.
control it. Especially
Yeah.
nowadays with all the the drone and stuff like that. It can be really dangerous.
Mhm.
But it's in a survival way. When your life is at risk, you don't really care
Mhm.
about what the government says when they say no fire allowed. You know, if you're
Mhm.
freezing and dying of that, no, make a
Yeah.
fire.
Of
But
of
but
course.
but get trained. So that's why you come to our report and our boot camps,
Mhm.
because boot camps is not just pushing your limits; it's also giving you skills
Yeah.
and lessons about educations about that. Um,
Yeah.
it's how to make a shelter depending on your environment too, how
Mhm.
to filter water because water is life, and also what how to equip and why. um,
Yeah.
it looks like dumb, but most people don't know how to
Mhm.
make a bag, and they hurt themselves and they get tired of it and they don't want to do it again. It's just because you don't know how to make your
Yeah.
bag. You don't know what you put
Yeah.
in it, what you need and don't need, and for that you need the
Yeah.
experience, but you need at least the basics. So this is what we teach,
Mhm.
and it's through the boot camps for the moment.
Yeah, I love that. I would kind of went on a little bit of an obsession there for a while, and I was reading a lot of military survival handbooks. One
Hmm.
of them being John Lofty Wiseman. He was an SAS in the British Army, and he talked about the pack, like your backpack, and
Yeah.
how if it's not properly, like the items in there are not properly placed. It
Hmm.
might be okay in the first 30 minutes, couple hours, but now let's times that
Long
by a
term.
week.
Hmm.
Yeah, and how much that actually can hurt the body and debilitate you in a way, like, it can put stop you in your tracks. I don't know how to build a shelter, though. I could definitely use
Yeah,
we
yeah.
take tents. Yeah, we take tents, but
Yeah, but you have, making a shelter. Even if you have the equipment, I've seen guys with with tarps, and they don't know how to do to make a shelter with that.
Mhm,
It's okay to have a tarp, but if it's an heavy rain, what do you do with that? Do you do
mhm,
where to redirect the water? Do you
mhm.
know where to set up your camp? You know your place where you're gonna sleep. Do you go in a? Do you say a talveg in English too? The Talvik, when
Uh,
it's a place where you go in the bottom of the hill. You don't go in the bottom of it. You don't go in between two hills because this is
oh,
where the
yeah,
water gonna
yeah,
come. So
yeah,
you have to choose you spot correctly, and it's not just
mhm,
okay. I'm gonna take those wood stick and make a shelter with it. No, it is a good spot because maybe you have a storm coming up and the water gonna you're gonna have a flood and it happened. Some people die
mhm.
just like that.
Yeah,
Have
that's
you
true.
seen what is the name? I think it's what's the name? I think it's 47 hours, or the guy that locked his arm in a canyon.
Oh, yes, and he had to
And
cut it off.
yeah, and at some point I think he just like dream of the water coming in a lot of water coming up and he kill himself. I think he has an imagination, but it
Mhm,
happened for real in those parts. So it can be really dry, but you don't know. Maybe it rained a lot over there and you have a lot of water coming up
mhm.
to you. So be sure you find a good spot where to stay for the night, because it can be the nightmare after that. And usually it's like the Murphy
Mhm.
law. It happened at the moment you don't expect it. So
Yeah.
you're sleeping, you think everything is all right, but no, you have a big rain or you have big snow, big wind, an animal attack you,
Yes.
people,
Yeah.
you don't know. So it's not just how to make a shelter, but how where to set it up.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yeah. I remember a long time ago. This is a long time ago. I was working at Canadian Tire. This must be like close to 20 years now. But anyways, a family came in, a husband and wife and two little kids, and he thought it was going to be a good idea to take his family camping. So he went and bought a tent, bought a thing, like a bag of wood or whatever, like the bundles of wood that you can
yeah,
buy
yeah.
at the gas station, an axe or whatever. And they came into Canadian Tire the next morning. And let me tell you, he looked like he'd been beat up. And if I was his wife, I probably would have beat him up. Right? The kids were screaming. Everybody was soaking wet. They were cold. They were tired and hungry.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I said, did you like, he goes, I couldn't get a fire going. I'm like, well, did you make kindling? What's kindling? I'm like, oh my God. Okay. Yeah. And
They don't know.
so basically they set up camp. And then of course during the night it started to rain.
Hmm.
Everything got soaked. They didn't even have a ground sheet, right?
Oh
And
my.
now we like, and I'm pretty sure, like, out in the wilderness, you've been cold, damp, right? It's a miserable sleep. You don't
Mhm.
sleep. Your bones ache. It's terrible,
It's all
right?
about, it's
Mhm.
details. And as a military, I spent so many nights outside. Where I'm
Mm,
from in France, where I used to be, it's really humid.
mm,
So
yeah.
humidity is your worst enemy. And if you don't know how to which kind of clothes you should wear, what kind of equipment you should wear, depending on is it's exactly the same. It depends who you are, where you are, and what you do, and where you do it.
Yeah.
So you have to adapt your equipment and skills depending on where you are and who you are. When I mean who
Yes.
you are, it depends your skills, your abilities. Do you have any handicap? It can be a lot of things. That
Yeah.
this is your own settings, and you have to adapt. So what I do is I teach people, and if they have question about their own environment, I'm gonna tell, okay, in a dry environment, this is that. In a cold one, this is that. In a hot environment,
Mm,
it would be like this. People here in the Okanagan, you know how it is. It's a desert, right?
yes.
Desert. I never know.
Desert. Yep. Sit
Yeah,
close.
desert.
Yeah.
And they say, yeah, it's really hot there, so you can go in the wild and you don't need any, how you say, a sleeping bag or whatever.
Hmm.
People don't know that if you live in desert, it can be
Hmm.
really cold during the night, and you can freeze.
Yes.
It's not
Oh,
because it's
yes.
40 degrees during the day that you won't die of hypothermia
Mhm.
during the night. So
Yes.
people have a lack of understanding about the nature, all the
Mhm.
components, small settings that can make a big difference with the humidity or if it's dry or whatever. And
Yeah.
yeah, uh, I slept so many nights outside, and even that I always continue. You have to practice. The best way to know is to practice. I can give you all the
Yeah.
stuff you want. If you don't know by yourself, if you don't go try it, you won't know. And the more you go outside, the less you need to. This is something true, because the more you know, the
Yeah.
more you practice, the less equipment you need. So it's better for your back because you need less to pack.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. A really good friend of mine, and we hiked Berg Lake Trail, which is Mount Robson, right by the Jasper
oh
border
yeah,
there.
yeah, I know
Oh,
that.
it's
Yeah, it's
beautiful. It's
beautiful.
unbelievable. And we hiked it, I think it was sometime in July. And at
Okay.
nighttime, I had every single article of clothing on to sleep with. I had my
Yeah.
socks, my toque, a hoodie, everything that I had in my backpack, I was wearing because it was incredibly cold that night.
Did
So
you have
you're
the
right.
right
Like you have
equipment?
to, oh yeah, yeah, for sure. I did. It was just cold. Like
Yeah. So you can
it's
be
just really cold.
there is the nature, as I say, the nature,
Mhm.
the nature doesn't care. So maybe
Yeah.
you don't have to rely on it, because after that it depends on the elevation you are. It
Yeah.
depends on so many things. So you better to prepare and have a B plan. And sometimes
Yeah.
if you can't sleep, just don't sleep, because the only thing to do is to reheat yourself. And I remember in army, the
Mm,
first thing you do is not
mhm.
sleeping. When you have time,
Yeah.
the first thing you do is healing yourself, all the small cuts and stuff like that. And after, it's
Yeah.
drying you clothes, drying your
Mm,
clothes, redoing your bag,
yeah.
because how we say in army, this is the man first, and after you enjoy it, the men and the
Yeah.
equipment first, and after you enjoy sleeping,
Mhm.
eating, and stuff like that. But you have to take care of yourself and your equipment. People think
Yeah.
it's okay, time to sleep, I go to sleep. Bye. No, no, no.
Mm,
Equipment. Doing a checkup on your body, on your equipment, make you have,
yeah.
do what you have to do. And if you can't sleep because you need a fire and stay
Mm,
next to the fire, you better like that. And after, you come back home safely, and you don't die
yeah.
during while you're sleeping. So yeah.
Yeah. The gear, like, and I totally agree. The gear is like super important. Like
Mhm.
I think my most expensive items in my wardrobe is my wool, is my
Yeah.
merino wool. Like
Yeah.
I've
That's
got
the best.
thousands of, yeah, it's the best. And then we also had like the thermal mats, like they're little,
Yep.
like they roll up to about that big.
Yep.
However, it was the one with the ballast in it, so it's supposed to trap your body heat. But I mean, it was still incredibly cold.
Yeah.
So, and then the next morning too, you wake up and we're right at Berg Lake. and there's like icebergs, like little mini icebergs floating around in the so I mean, it's still
Yeah.
pretty cold,
It
eh?
was yeah, over there it's pretty, you have a high
Mhm.
elevation. Yeah, I know where it is.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
and
and
you
you
didn't
know,
talk about the animals too. You have to be careful with
oh
your package. You
yes.
put your bag in
Mhm,
a tree, depending where you go,
mhm,
of course. But yeah, in the
yeah.
Rockies you have brown bears like grizzlies, so it's another game.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, and whenever I hike with a group of people, whether it's just maybe 2 or 3 of us or whatever, I always say, like, "Am I the only one carrying the bear spray? No. Everybody needs to carry bear spray. What if
Everyone.
the bear grabs me? And now my bear spray is, like, with me and I'm being attacked." Like, I think that everybody should carry it.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a must.
and one
It's
thing,
a must.
yeah, I think so. I believe so. Because like, even on our, horseback trip, like, we had a standoff with a grizzly. We had 14 horses, 7 riders, 14 horses, and now we are toe to toe with a grizzly. And the horses are terrified. I
Well,
mean, it
yeah,
was
yeah.
yeah,
No, you need
yeah.
that.
So I mean,
That's the
yeah.
basic, especially also, again, depending where you are,
Mhm.
but in the Rockies, in BC, even Alberta, you need that. It can save your
Oh,
life.
yeah,
And people
yeah.
say, yeah, but it's better a gun or whatever. It's not true. It's not true.
No, not true
And
at
by the
all.
way, the it's good. It's a plus if you have it.
Mhm.
But bear spray does the job pretty well. And most of
Yeah,
the time, the bears don't want to see you. I made a video
no.
on my social media. I made a reel and I show how to use it. And I use it and I
Mm.
show some tips of. So I'm going to tell it just here, but just draw a line on the floor when you're backing up. So because they're really sensitive, so you draw a line on the floor with the bear spray. So when you're going to go through
Oh,
that, you're going to
yes.
smell it and go away. So you don't even have to
Yes.
shoot him because you're too far away
Yeah.
to shoot him, or there is maybe a wind coming up. So draw it on the floor. You're gonna put a
Ah,
kind of barrier of it. So I made
interesting.
yeah, I made a video of it. You can check it out, and I teach
Yeah.
basic stuff on how to use it, the distances, and
Yeah.
the tips. Yeah,
Yeah, I really, really like that. Actually, never even really thought about that
yeah.
myself. Yeah, like a lot of people make fun of me. They're like, "Oh, what's that gonna do? The bear spray, right?" And I'm like, "Actually, it's gonna do quite a bit because I've had bear spray used on myself twice. One was like a bit of an accident where the
Okay.
top popped off
Oh yeah.
and it kind of went right, and it was excruciating.
Oh yeah. It's
Oh,
yeah. You don't want to be
yeah.
sprayed. No.
No, nobody's coming for that.
No.
That was like no, that was bad. So, now a little bit about, like, outdoor survival. One
Mhm,
thing that I'm really keen on is, I read this book called Surviving the End of the World as We Know It. And
mhm,
it doesn't mean, like, the world's gonna blow up and we're not gonna exist anymore. What it meant is, like, the end of the world as we know it. And James Rawls is the author, and he's also a US Army intelligence.
mhm,
And now he consults with people about surviving like a global collapse, like a financial collapse,
mhm.
like food shortages. What else does he talk about? Uh,
Social
had a
conflict.
cata yeah, catastrophic events, that's what it
Yeah.
was. Sorry, I had to read my notes. And we're seeing this now,
Oh
with
yeah.
all the floods and the fires and everything and snowstorms, and basically what he said was, "It's not a matter of if, it's when. Be
And we don't
prepared."
know that, and we don't know that, so that's why I say, and as you mentioned, it's more preparedness. We
Mhm.
also in French we say survivalist, so survivalism, or I don't know if you say that in English, but yeah, preparedness. It's
Yeah.
another kind of survival because you don't really survive. As I mentioned in the beginning, we don't survive. We live in luxury.
Yeah.
But tomorrow you lose the power for 3 days. Most of people are gonna freak out.
Mhm. Yeah.
So how do you counter, if I can say counterattack, how do you counterattack a shortage, electricity shortage or water shortage or whatever? Also, the end of the world is individual. So tomorrow you have an accident,
Mm.
your end of the world. Because you can't walk, so you can go to the work. You can go to work, so you can't make money,
Mhm.
and you kind of useless, if we can say that this way. But for you it's the end of the world, like your world is falling down. You can't work and
Mhm.
make money, you can't cook, whatever, you depend on someone.
Mhm.
So you see, it's not tomorrow there is an atomic bomb or there is a
Mhm.
financial crisis. It's your end of the world. And yeah, I also teach that. I plan to do some preparedness
Mhm.
classes at some point in courses, maybe online too, at least to have the basics.
Mhm.
For a small shortage, at least 1 week. As you mentioned, we
Mhm.
see that with wildfires. Do you know how to uh, prepare your house, or how do you know how to do a bug out bag to in
Mhm.
case you have to evacuate for the fires? We've seen that with
Yes.
every year we see that in the Okanagan now, or in BC in
Yep.
general, even Alberta.
Yes.
It's not just fires; it's also smoke. It's also flood, whatever. Do you have a
Mhm.
plan to escape and get out of here and go in a safe place? Do you have
Yes.
do you have cash? Do you have gold? Do you have silver? Do you have Bitcoin? Do you
Mhm.
have a bank account? Do you have
Yep.
batteries? Do you have gas? Do you have foods? Do you have water? All those stuff that the parents in the past used to have. Not Bitcoin and stuff
Yep.
like that, but they used to grow food in the backyard. They used to have
Mhm.
canned food. They used to have animals for some of them because it was like that in some rural
Mhm.
part. Um, yeah, being prepared is something I teach, and it's an everyday life mission.
Yes.
We take our safety and food and comfort for granted, but tomorrow it can be the end
Yes.
of the world for individually or as a society. So yeah.
Yeah, as we know it, yeah. Out of
Hmm.
those comfort zones, like you said.
Yep.
Because even, like, where I live, if there's a snowstorm and the Coquihalla Highway shuts down, and it has
You
because
sucked.
of bad wrecks, yeah, and 72 hours, we observed personally the grocery store empty.
Yep.
There was no fresh produce, there was no meat and dairy, nothing. It was all like canned and dry goods, but even that was starting to, like, people were starting to panic,
Yep.
right? And we saw that during COVID as well. And people do need to realize that, hey, that store, that gas station,
Yep.
that convenience store, they might shut down
Yeah, and also
during a crisis.
a big aspect of preparedness is
Mm.
having firearms. You need firearms.
Mm. Yep.
I know it's a really sensitive topic.
Yep.
It's more an American culture, but they're right. They're
Mhm.
right to defend their right because firearms. So you mentioned tomorrow.
Mhm.
Let's say, okay, you have 2 weeks. 2 weeks, it's shut down. You don't have any more trucks coming into town to refill the food. Where are you going to find
Mhm.
the food? Okay, so you have to learn how to hunt, or even if you don't know, your primal instinct gonna be to take a firearm, go in the wood, and bring back food on the table. Or if tomorrow you have food or you don't have that much, but someone knows that you have food and they're gonna
Mm.
come and harm you for that. So are you able to
Yes.
defend yourself? If you have firearm, what do you do?
Mhm.
If you have firearms, it's good. You're same, you can shoot
Yeah.
back. But if you don't, you're gonna win.
Mhm.
You're
Yeah.
gonna threat you, and you're gonna give you food, and after you're gonna starve, and then it's your end of the world. So firearms, I always say
Mhm.
people do it. Get
Yeah.
you a pal, get you firearms, get
Yes,
ammo,
I agree.
and for the
Mhm.
people that really doubt about it, I really encourage you to go learn about the Sarajevo conflict, siege of
Mm.
Sarajevo, because this is the best modern shutdown that never happened in the world till now. It was just in 1997
Mhm.
or 92, and the Sarajevo city was shut down and surrounded by war for 1 year. So the people were by themselves, no police officers, no more
Oh.
hospital after 7 days. And he says the
Mhm.
first thing you want to have is a firearm, because
Mhm.
and it's easy to find in the beginning, but after that it's
Mhm.
the end of the world. And the most
Yep.
valuable things that you can find when it's about survival, it's
Mhm.
ammo and firearms, because you have power with that.
Yep.
Look at why the
Yeah.
government wants you with your guns, because if you don't have guns you
Mhm.
can fight back. And that's why I'm really 100% behind the 2A, like for the US, and
Yeah.
we should have the same one, because
Mhm.
you have the power with the firearms. You can take a
Yeah.
life with that. So
Yeah, absolutely. And and the thing is, if they take the guns out of the regular citizen who's armed, but
Hmm.
also trained and is
Yeah,
responsible, taking the firearms out of their hands is not going to stop the problems because the criminals are still going to have access to guns.
exactly.
So it's beyond me. And it's interesting because James Rawls, the U.S. Army intelligence guy that I was speaking about, um, he talks about like security, right? Protecting what you have because somebody's going to want to come and get it. But
Yeah.
he also has a blog. And I
Okay.
was listening to his blog, and a lot of people were writing into him and saying that if it wasn't for his tips and tricks, and arming themselves, taking that PAL course, that core course, and having responsible gun usage, that they probably would have been killed because there
Yeah.
was like these freak storms that come through the states.
Yeah, there
And
is that too. Yeah.
actually, yeah, these freak storms came through and the power went out. The grid was shut down. There was no 911. There was no like calling an ambulance. Everybody was without power. People were running out of food, and one guy wrote in who was actually quite against the guns, but he said because he took that advice and he invested in that, that he actually saved his own life because
Yeah.
he was confronted by intruders.
And what I say,
Yeah.
I always say like you better to have it and not need it than needing it and not
Yes.
have it. So get
Yeah.
firearms, guys. I
Mhm.
know it seems like really scary, but it's not. It's one of the
Mhm.
safest sports and thing you can have if you respect the rules and you get trained. So I give
Yes.
training. So if you're interested, I can give you trainings too. I plan to
Mhm.
do more tactical events with the big project coming up. But yeah, uh,
Mm.
I want to do tactical events, and
Mhm.
you're gonna have fun while you get better at fighting back or fighting just like that.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
get firearms, guys, and it's a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. So with that being said, so for our southern BC viewers, especially those in the Okanagan, Jeff has a really amazing project on the go. Tell
Yeah.
us about that.
So in Quebec, I started the first boot camps, and I had a small obstacle course over there. And since I wanted to move in the Okanagan, so I did, and I found a land where I can build the largest obstacle course in Canada. So it's going to be
Mm,
more than, if I see really far in the future, it's going to be more like 80 obstacles. For the moment, I have 75 for sure.
mhm,
Um, and it's going to be through four different levels: recruit, sergeant, operator, and elite. And it's just to
mhm,
give a name, just to make it a bit fancy. But the more you go,
mhm,
the more it's technical and it's demanding physically. So it's a military style obstacle course. For those that know, in the army, usually you go through 17 to 20 obstacles, but I built 75, and I'm gonna build it. So I start to pre-build now the obstacles. In April, I start officially to build it on site. And after that,
mhm,
I started with the first 24, which is going to be the recruit one. It doesn't mean that it's because it's recruit it's not difficult. All right, it's going to be hard,
mhm,
and I'm going to put some awards that. So yeah, let's say you do it really quickly, you're going to have a patch with the gold patch, and after you can have grades. So it gives you motivation to be the best and redo it.
mhm,
And through that, I gonna do some boot camps. So we're gonna do
mm,
survival.
mhm,
We're gonna do team
mhm.
buildings. We're gonna do orienteering race. So how to use a map and a compass, and you have to go and get some
Oh,
checkpoints. So
yeah.
all the cool stuff where you have fun,
Mhm,
you learn about yourself, you learn about new skills, and you're in a crazy environment. So the environment where I found it, it's on a native land, and it's so
mm.
wild, and so right in the nature. You have wild
Yeah.
horses running around. uh,
Oh,
and
I love it.
oh yeah, I plan to do some retreats and seminars, so just women, just men. It won't just
Mhm,
all of the time be like boot camps or really intense trainings. It's gonna also
mhm,
be like this kind of seminars or retreat when, let's say, as just men or just women, we come, we do meditation, we do yoga, we do breathing,
mhm.
we do working out, we do skills. It's a really complete stuff where you just want to work on yourself while making connection with yourself, people, and nature. And so yeah, this is a big project. I don't like to say project anymore. I have so much done now. I have my big list just behind.
Mhm.
I'm just watching it. I'm
Oh,
like, okay,
nice.
it's more than a project now.
Yeah.
I start to have
Yeah.
sponsors. The sponsors are coming up
Mm.
slowly. And
Mhm.
I already have people interested. So a lot of people want to involve their kids. So it's going to be from 5 years old. So for the people that have kids, uh,
Oh,
yeah, I'm gonna have
wow.
obstacle course for kids, but also activities for kids from 5 years
Mhm.
old to and up. And
Mhm.
yeah, it's gonna be a place where you can come and meet and connect with like-minded people.
Yeah.
It's gonna be an healthy place to be healthy and to thrive and to it's new, it's brand new. I don't
Mhm.
see anything like that here, and I'm pretty sure it's something that is needed. And the more we
Mhm.
go into this society, the way it goes, the more we're going to need it. And I think
Mm.
it's really good to know that there is a place when we can rely on the people that go over there, to have a strong
Yeah.
community, and to put
Yes.
back the values back for families, kids, women, and men, to respect each other, and become the best version of themselves.
Yeah, I love it because one of the things that I did read in your bio was like fostering a community.
Yeah,
And oh
what about
man, like
that?
I couldn't agree more. And the thing is, like, and you just answered my question too about all ages,
Yeah,
all fitness levels,
all
right? Just
fitness
show
level,
up.
whoever you are,
Just show up.
whatever is your
Yeah.
background, come over. We
Yeah.
won't judge you. You're gonna be welcome. The goal, you do it for you. I won't tell you, okay, you should come because you need to. No, you
Mhm.
you must have the desire to come, because if you don't
Yeah.
have the desire to work on yourself, there is no reason. It's gonna be more complicated for yourself and us. So, but I really
Yes.
encourage you to, in the special forces, what we go through is like self retrospection, like
Mhm.
thinking about, okay, am I good enough? Am I? You don't have to be the best. This is not what I mean, but am I good enough? Could I be better on that? Can I work on this aspect and stuff like that? So if you continue to try to become better, you are living the good life. And here with MLK, so the name exactly going to be the Okanagan Warriors Adventure. This is
Mm.
how I call it. To it's better. It's more because MLK abilities doesn't mean that much.
Mhm.
Um, it's abilities, but so when you're going in the Okanagan with warriors to live an adventure, it tells you more.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
so you're all welcome, whoever you are, come over, and you can be sure you're gonna meet like great people, and
Mhm.
live some crazy and unique adventures. So you don't need
Yeah.
to be a crossfitter or military or whoever. Just come as
Mhm.
you are. Yeah.
Just show up. And with that being said, Jeff, please, when you start posting some of this content,
Yeah.
tag me in it.
Okay. Sounds good. I will.
Tag me in it, and I will share it across all of my platforms. Because I'm located in southern BC, so
Yeah,
this
you're
is in my
married, right?
backyard.
You're married. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not far.
I'm
It's
in
what? It's
Merritt, and an
an
hour
hour,
and a half.
half. Yeah.
About an hour and a half, yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, I have family in Kelowna, I got friends in Kelowna, some of my cohort that are very fitness orientated are in
Okay.
my cohort for school, so please share that with me, tag me,
Yeah.
or just share whatever,
Yeah.
and I will repost,
And
because
I
I
forgot to mention
believe in
it,
this.
but I'm gonna make a small campground. So
Oh,
for
okay.
the people that like to stay, so we're gonna have big long term boot camps. So it means that you're gonna
Mhm,
spend two nights over there or one night. But
mhm,
when we don't have long boot camps, I'm gonna open a small kind of a campground. So you bring your tent and stuff like that. It's gonna be safe. You won't be soaked and stuff like that. So
oh,
yeah, you can stay on site. Being in the wild, in the
mhm,
nature, it's pretty. It's neat. You should check it out. You're gonna come over in
amazing,
anyways, and I plan to do a grand opening early or mid June. So if you want to
mhm.
come over, you're welcome.
Oh,
Um,
I would love
uh,
that, and I'll be at a school. I'll be at a school by then.
okay.
So by the summertime, I'll have a little bit more flexibility because I would
Mhm.
love to attend that grand opening.
Yeah, and
100%.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
do the first 24 obstacles, and after that, during the
Mhm.
rest of the summer, I'm gonna build the other levels. So it gonna give people the will to come back and try the other obstacles. and
Mhm.
other levels. But yeah, I start about with the 24, and because I got to go with the financial stuff, as I mentioned, I need
Of
some
course.
sponsors. So
Yeah.
if anyone is interested as a company, we have planned to
Mhm.
represent you, do exposure. The thing is just to
Mm.
fund the project with money or material that would help to
Yeah.
have a great facility and be sure we can offer
Mhm.
really quality uh, um, services and activities over there.
Okay, definitely. Yeah, share that with me, and I will get it out to as many people as I can. All right,
Great.
Jeff, that was great. So, for our viewers, where can they find you?
Yeah, so I have on the social media you can find Facebook, Instagram. I started what's the name? I'm on X too, but I'm not really present. So basically,
Mhm,
Instagram and Facebook, YouTube. YouTube is something I want to work on it because I want to share
mhm.
more knowledge. It's for free. So you're gonna
Yep.
see my face, me going into the wild, experiencing. So I give you good ideas of what I do and how to do it. So YouTube channel, everything under the name of MLK abilities.
Mhm,
I also have a elite section that is about tactical stuff. So I give CQB, shooting, uh, everything about the tactic, you know.
mhm.
So if you're into that, reach me out. Pleasure to give you more information. And I have the website, of course, mlkabilities.com, where you can
Okay.
find the French side because I'm in Quebec too and in BC. So you have two different activities, but you can find everything we offer and yeah, just follow up, subscribe. I have a newsletter too. I try to keep alive and where I share free knowledge. And otherwise, in person in Penticton.
Mhm,
So to be exact, it's gonna be in the Maroon Valley.
mhm.
So it's you go like you want to go to Kirimios if you come from Penticton,
Okay.
and
Yes.
it's on the right. You go in the native land, and it's gonna be over there. So yeah, it's not too far. It's
Ah.
15 minutes from downtown. So
Mhm,
in person, it's going to be over there. And I
mhm.
plan to do some self defense courses through the province too, like BC, maybe
Yep.
Alberta. So if some of you guys are interested to organize an event, I can move. I can come to you and organize something too.
Oh, excellent. I was wondering about that because I was gonna try to round up some ladies here in Merritt
Yeah,
and see if you would come and do a self-defense course,
sure. Let's make a
but
group.
but it's
Let's put
hard
a group.
yeah, exactly, I would like that, but it'll be after my school though, because it's just
No
woof,
problem. I'm so
it's so
busy right
intense.
now, and for the next two
Yeah,
months, I'm
me
gonna be
too.
on site, so no problem. It can be
Yeah.
after that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. Well, thank you, Jeff. Thank you for sharing your time here today and educating us on the military boot camp and
Yeah.
self-defense and outdoor survival. These are topics that are very dear to my heart, so I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you very much. And anytime we can do it again,
Mhm.
maybe just talk about a specific topic in case you have feedback. So feel free to ask questions,
Oh,
reach
yeah.
me out, leave comments.
Mhm.
It's a pleasure to answer. I'm pretty active too. So yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for having me. Thank you for this long podcast, actually, but it was great. Time
No,
flies.
it's perfect. Awesome.
And
Yeah, I told you
every
time would fly. Yeah.
yeah, one
Awesome.
hour
Okay,
maybe
thank you.
and 45 minutes after.